The transport ship broke through the clouds above New Haven. Commander Zarathix stood at the viewing port and watched the human colony grow larger beneath her. 7 years had passed since she last saw this world. 7 years since she left without saying goodbye. 7 years of carrying a secret that grew heavier with each passing day. She looked down at the child holding her hand. Kira was 6 years old now, with silver-tinted skin that marked her as part Valoran, but her eyes were green and bright, unmistakably human. Those eyes belonged to her father, a man who did not know she existed. The ship landed with a soft thud. Zarathix picked up their bags and guided Kira toward the exit. The little girl pressed close to her mother's side, nervous in this strange new place. New Haven had changed. When Zarathix first came here as a liaison officer, the colony was small and rough. Now it stretched across the valley like a metal forest, with tall buildings and bustling streets. Millions of humans lived here now, building their lives among the stars. Zarathix had been young then, assigned to study human military capabilities. The Galactic Alliance wanted to understand these newcomers who had just joined the community of worlds. Humans were different from other species. They felt emotions strongly. They bonded quickly. They never seemed to give up hope, even when logic said they should. That was when she met Jake Morrison. He was a lieutenant in the human forces, a pilot and engineer. His job was to work with her team and show them human technology. Zarathix expected him to be like other species she had studied, formal and distant. Instead, Jake smiled easily and made jokes. He treated her like a person, not just a superior officer from an advanced civilization. Their friendship grew slowly. Jake showed her human music and told her stories about Earth. He taught her about coffee, a bitter drink that humans loved. They spent long hours talking about their different worlds and ways of thinking. For the first time in her life, Zarathix felt truly understood. The friendship became something more. They both knew it was complicated. Interspecies relationships were not forbidden, but they drew attention and questions. High-ranking officers like Zarathix were expected to maintain distance, so they kept their feelings private, stealing moments together when duty allowed. Then came the day Zarathix discovered she was pregnant. Hybrid births were extremely rare. Her people's biology made it nearly impossible. The news filled her with joy and terror in equal measure. She needed to tell Jake, but before she found the courage, emergency orders arrived. A classified mission required her immediate return to her homeworld. She had 1 day to leave, 1 day to decide what to do. In the end, she chose cowardice. She told herself Jake would be better off not knowing. She told herself the complications would ruin both their careers. She told herself she was protecting him. She left without saying goodbye. For 6 years, Zarathix raised Kira alone. She threw herself into her work, rising through the ranks of the Valoran military. She became known for her tactical brilliance and cold efficiency. No one suspected that each night she lay awake thinking about the man she left behind. His memory haunted her like a ghost she could not banish. Kira changed everything. As the child grew, she asked questions. Where was her father? Why did she look different from other Valoran children? Why did she have these strange abilities that her mother did not share? Kira could sense electromagnetic fields like a Valoran, but she also had human curiosity and creativity. She was neither fully one species nor the other. She was something new. Last month, Kira asked a question Zarathix had been dreading. Does my father know about me? Zarathix could not lie to those green eyes. No, she admitted. Why not? Kira asked. The question was simple. The answer was not. How could she explain fear and duty and the weight of choices made long ago? How could she tell her daughter that she had been a coward? So here they were, returned to New Haven. Zarathix had used all her saved leave time for this trip. She told her superiors she needed rest. She told herself she was finally doing the right thing. The problem was finding Jake. She had no idea if he still lived on New Haven. 7 years was a long time. He could be anywhere in human space. He could have partnered with someone else and started a family. He could have forgotten about her entirely. That thought hurt more than Zarathix wanted to admit. They checked into a small housing unit in the civilian sector. Zarathix did not want to draw attention by going near military facilities. Too many questions would follow. She needed to do this quietly. Privately, Kira explored their temporary home with the boundless energy that human children possessed. She touched everything, asked about everything, filled the space with noise and life. Watching her, Zarathix felt her resolve strengthen. Jake deserved to know about this wonderful child. Kira deserved to know her father. But where to start looking? That night, after Kira fell asleep, Zarathix sat by the window and looked out at the city lights. New Haven glowed against the darkness like scattered stars. Jake was somewhere out there in that vast sprawl of humanity. She just had to find him. She thought about the places they used to go together. The observation deck where they watched ships launch into space. The engineering workshop where Jake taught her about human improvisation. The small restaurant where they shared meals and conversation. Tomorrow she would start there. She would visit the places that held their memories. Maybe someone would remember. Maybe someone would know where Jake Morrison had gone. Zerathix closed her eyes and allowed herself to remember his smile. His laugh. The way he looked at her like she was the only person in the universe. For 7 years, she had run from that memory. Now she was running toward it, hoping it was not too late to make things right. Behind her, Kira stirred in her sleep and murmured something in the mixed language she spoke, part Valoran and part human. The sound reminded Zerathix why she was here. She was searching for the man who still haunted her heart. And this time, she would not run away. The morning sun filled their small apartment with warm light. Kira woke early, as she always did, and bounced on her mother's bed with excitement. They were going exploring today. The city was full of new things to see and experience. Zerathix dressed her daughter carefully, making sure her coat covered the bioluminescent markings on her arms. She did not want Kira to feel ashamed of who she was, but she also knew that hybrid children drew stares. Today was not about attracting attention. Today was about finding answers. Their first stop was the old observation deck. Zerathix remembered the way without checking any maps. She and Jake had spent hours there, watching ships arrive and depart. Jake loved to explain the different vessel designs and guess where they were heading. His enthusiasm was infectious, pulling her into his world of wonder. The observation deck was more crowded now than it used to be. Families pressed against the viewing windows, children pointing at the ships with delight. Kira joined them, her face lighting up at the sight of a massive cargo hauler lifting off in the distance. Zerathix approached one of the staff members, a young human man monitoring the crowd. "Excuse me," she said. "I am looking for someone who used to work here. His name is Jake Morrison." The man shook his head. "Sorry, I have only been here for 2 years. I do not know that name." It was the first of many dead ends. Zerathix tried the engineering workshop next. The building stood in the same location, but it had been expanded and renovated. New people worked there now, none of whom recognized Jake's name. One older engineer thought he remembered someone by that name, but could not say where he had gone. By midday, Kira was tired and hungry. Zerathix decided to try the restaurant, the small place that served Earth food, where she and Jake had shared so many meals. At least they could eat while she asked questions. The restaurant had changed too, but not beyond recognition. It was bigger now, with more tables and a larger kitchen. But the same warm atmosphere remained, the sense of home that human establishments seemed to create naturally. A woman approached their table with a smile. She was older, with gray hair and kind eyes. "Welcome," she said. "What can I get for you today?" Zerathix ordered for both of them, then took a chance. "Do you know a man named Jake Morrison? He used to come here years ago." The woman's face changed, surprise and recognition flashing across her features. "Commanders," she said slowly. "Is that you?" Zerathix felt her heart skip. "Yes, do you remember me?" "Of course I remember you," the woman said, pulling out a chair and sitting down uninvited. "I am Linda. I worked here 7 years ago too. You and Jake used to sit at that corner table over there. You would talk for hours." Hope surged through Zerathix's chest. "Do you know where he is now?" Linda studied her carefully, then glanced at Kira. The child was distracted, looking at the menu pictures with fascination. When Linda looked back at Zerathix, understanding showed in her eyes. "She has his eyes," Linda said quietly. Zerathix did not deny it. There was no point. "Does he still come here?" "Sometimes," Linda said. "Not as often as he used to. He works as a contractor now, designs custom ship modifications, has a workshop in the industrial district." She paused. "He was different after you left. Quieter. He looked for you at first, asked around, but no one knew where you had gone. Eventually he stopped asking." The words cut deep. Zerathix had known Jake would be hurt, but hearing it confirmed made the guilt sharper. Linda pulled out a data pad and wrote down an address. "This is where his workshop is. He is usually there during the day." She handed the pad to Zerathix, then added softly, "He never partnered with anyone else. You know, some people they just find one person and that is it for them. Humans are like that sometimes." Zerathix took the address with trembling hands. "Thank you." Linda stood up. "I will get your food. And Commander, whatever happened between you two, whatever reason you had for leaving, Jake is a good man. One of the best. He deserves the truth." "I know," Zerathix whispered. After they ate, Zerathix and Kira walked through the industrial district. The workshop was not hard to find. It sat between a parts supplier and a small shipping company, a modest building with large bay doors. Zarathic stopped across the street, suddenly unable to move forward. What would she say? How would Jake react? 7 years was a long time. People changed. Maybe he would be angry. Maybe he would not care anymore. Kira tugged at her hand. Are you okay? Zarathix looked down at her daughter. Kira watched her with concern, picking up on her mother's distress through the bond they shared. The child was so perceptive, understanding emotions the way Velo species never could. That came from her human side. From Jake, I am scared, Zarathix admitted. Kira squeezed her hand. When something is worth doing, it is worth doing scared. The words shocked Zarathix. Where had Kira heard that phrase? She had never taught it to her, but somehow, impossibly, her daughter had spoken the exact words Jake once said to her. On a night when Zarathix was afraid to tell him how she felt, it felt like a sign, but not today. Zarathix decided she could not do this with Kira present. She needed to speak with Jake alone first, to see his reaction, to gauge whether he would even want to know about the child. She would not bring Kira into a situation that might hurt her. They returned to their apartment. Zarathix arranged for Kira to stay at a childcare facility the next day, a place where hybrid children were welcome and well cared for. She told Kira she had business to handle, which was true enough. That night, Zarathix barely slept. She rehearsed 100 different conversations in her mind. She tried to prepare for every possible reaction, but deep down, she knew that nothing could truly prepare her for seeing Jake again. Morning came too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Zarathix dropped Kira off at the facility, then made her way back to the industrial district. Her hand shook. Her breathing came fast. She was a decorated commander who had faced enemy fleets without flinching. But this terrified her more than any battle. She stood outside the workshop for a full minute before she found the courage to walk in. The space smelled like metal and oil. Workbenches covered in tools lined the walls. Half-finished projects sat everywhere, organized chaos that somehow made sense. And in the middle of it all, bent over a thruster assembly, was Jake Morrison. He looked older. Gray touched his dark hair at the temples. Lines creased the corners of his eyes. But his hands moved with the same confident precision she remembered, and his posture held the same focused energy. Zarathix's foot scraped against the floor. The sound seemed loud in the quiet workshop. Jake turned around. His eyes met hers. The tool in his hand fell to the floor with a clatter. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. The air between them felt thick with 7 years of silence and everything left unsaid. Then Jake spoke, his voice rough with emotion. 7 years. It was not a question. It was an accusation and a statement of fact, and a world of pain wrapped in 2 simple words. Zarathix forced herself to speak. I can explain. Jake stared at her for another long moment, then bent down and picked up the fallen tool. He set it carefully on the workbench, his movements deliberate and controlled. When he looked at her again, his expression was unreadable. I looked for you, he said quietly. For months, no one would tell me anything. They said you were reassigned to classified operations, that you were not allowed contact with anyone from your previous posting. Zarathix felt each word like a blow. I know I am sorry. Sorry, Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. That is a small word for 7 years of silence. She had prepared speeches and explanations. She had practiced apologies and justifications. But standing in front of him now, watching the hurt and confusion war across his face, all her careful words disappeared. Only the truth remained. I was pregnant, she said simply. Jake went very still. The color drained from his face. What? I discovered it the day before I got my orders to leave. I was going to tell you, but then everything happened so fast. My superiors needed me immediately. There was no time. You could have sent a message, Jake said, his voice rising. You could have found a way to contact me. 7 years, Zara, 7 years, and you never once tried to reach out. I was afraid, she admitted. Hybrid pregnancies are almost impossible for my species. The political complications alone could have ended both our careers. And I did not know how you would react. I told myself I was protecting you by staying silent. Protecting me. Jake's hands clenched into fists. That was not your choice to make alone. That child is mine too. I know that now. I was wrong. Jake turned away from her, bracing his hands on the workbench. His shoulders were tense, his breathing harsh. Is the child healthy? The question caught her off guard. Not anger about being kept in the dark. Not accusations about her betrayal. His first real concern was for the child's well-being. Yes, Zarathix said softly. She is healthy. Her name is Kira. She is 6 years old. She, Jake repeated. A daughter. Zarathix pulled out her datapad and called up images. Pictures of Kira at various ages, from infant to present day. She held the pad out to Jake. He took it with shaking hands. His eyes moved across the screen, taking in each image. Zarathix watched his face soften, watched wonder replace the anger and hurt. When he reached the most recent photo, one showing Kira smiling at the camera with her green eyes bright, Jake made a sound that was half laugh and half sob. "She has my eyes," he whispered. "Yes, and your curiosity, and your stubborn refusal to give up when faced with a problem." Zarathix stepped closer. "She is brilliant and kind and brave. She asks questions constantly. She wants to understand everything. She is the best of both of us." Jake looked up from the screen. Tears tracked down his face. Another human response that Zarathix had once found strange, but now understood. Humans cried when overwhelmed by emotion, good or bad. It was not weakness, it was honesty. "Why now?" he asked. "Why come back after all this time?" "Because Kira started asking about her father. She deserves to know you, and you deserve to know her. I cannot keep living with this secret. It was eating me alive." Jake set the datapad down carefully. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. When he spoke again, his voice was steadier. "Tell me about her, everything." So Zarathix did. She told him about Kira's birth, about the fear and joy of holding their daughter for the first time. She described Kira's first words, which were a mix of Valoran and human languages. She explained how Kira had inherited abilities from both species, were able to sense electromagnetic fields, but also possessing human creativity and emotional depth. She told him about Kira's love of learning, her fascination with space and ships, her habit of taking things apart to see how they worked. She described the questions Kira asked, the observations she made, the unique way she saw the world through two different cultural lenses. Jake listened without interrupting, absorbing every detail like he was memorizing it. Occasionally he asked questions, wanting to know more about specific moments or milestones. "She sounds amazing," he said when Zarathix finally ran out of words. "She is. I wish you could have been there from the beginning. I wish I had been brave enough to contact you." Jake was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his words surprised her. "I understand why you left. I do not agree with your choice, but I understand the impossible position you were in. Valoran culture puts duty above everything else, and hybrid births carry complications I cannot even imagine. But I should have trusted you enough to tell you," Zarathix said. "I should have given you the choice to be involved or not. Instead, I made that decision for both of us." "Yes, you should have." Jake looked at her directly. "You hurt me, Zara. When you disappeared without explanation, it felt like everything we had was a lie. It took me a long time to make peace with that. I never stopped thinking about you," she said quietly. "Every day for 7 years. You haunted me." "Good," Jake said bluntly. Then he sighed. "That was petty. I am sorry. No, I deserved that." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of 7 years between them. Finally, Jake spoke again. "What happens now? Are you staying on New Haven, or is this just a visit?" "I have leave for 2 months. After that, I am supposed to return to duty, and Kira, I do not know yet. I came here to find you, to tell you the truth. I did not plan beyond that." Jake ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she remembered from when he was thinking through a problem. "When can I meet her?" The question was both simple and complicated. "Whenever you want. She knows I was looking for her father. She has been asking about you since she was old enough to understand she had one." "Tomorrow," Jake said immediately. "I want to meet her tomorrow, unless that is too soon." "No," Zarathix said, relief flooding through her. "Tomorrow is good." They made arrangements. A neutral location, a public park where Kira would feel safe. Zarathix gave Jake her contact information, something she should have done 7 years ago. As she turned to leave, Jake called out, "Zara." She looked back. "Thank you for coming back, for telling me, for giving me a chance to know her." He paused. "And for what it is worth, I never partnered with anyone else. Could not make myself interested in trying." The admission hit her hard. "I am sorry I hurt you. I know. We will figure the rest out as we go. That is what humans do. We adapt." Zarathix left the workshop with her heart lighter than it had been in years. The confrontation was over. Jake knew the truth. He wanted to meet Kira. It was not forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a beginning. She went to pick up Kira from the care facility. The child bounded up to her, full of questions about her day. Zarathix knelt down to her daughter's level. "I found him," she said. "I found your father. He wants to meet you tomorrow." Kira's face lit up with pure joy. She threw her arms around her mother's neck, and Zarathix held her tight. grateful beyond words that Jake had reacted with grace instead of anger, with love instead of rejection. Tomorrow would change everything. Tomorrow, Kira would meet her father, and they would begin building something that should have started 7 years ago for the first time since leaving Jake. Zerathix felt something like hope. The park was busy with families, enjoying the afternoon sun. Children played on equipment designed for multiple species, their laughter filling the air. Zerathix held Kira's hand as they walked along the path, both of them nervous in different ways. Kira had barely slept the night before, too excited about meeting her father. She had asked 100 questions that Zerathix could not answer. What did he look like? What did he sound like? Would he like her? The uncertainty made the child unusually quiet now, clinging close to her mother's side. Jake was already there, sitting on a bench near the playground. He stood when he saw them approaching. Zerathix felt her breath catch. He wore casual clothes and carried a small bag. His expression was a mix of hope and fear that probably matched her own. They stopped a few feet away. Kira pressed against her mother's leg, suddenly shy. Jake knelt down so he was at the child's eye level, a gesture of respect and non-threat that humans understood instinctively. "Hello, Kira," he said gently. "I am Jake, your father." Kira peeked out from behind Zerathix but did not speak. Her green eyes studied Jake carefully, taking in every detail. Jake did not push. Instead, he reached into his bag and pulled out something small. "I made this for you," he said, holding it out in his open palm. It was a mechanical butterfly, beautifully crafted from metal and circuitry. Jake pressed a small button and the wings began to move, fluttering in a way that looked almost alive. Soft colors glowed along the wing edges, shifting between blue and purple. Kira's eyes went wide. She took a small step forward, then another. "It is beautiful," she whispered. "You can touch it," Jake said. "It will not break." Kira reached out carefully and took the butterfly from his hand. She turned it over, examining how it worked. "How does it fly?" "It does not really fly," Jake explained. "The wings move, but it is too heavy for real flight. I thought about making it lighter, but then it would be too fragile for playing with. Can I keep it?" "Of course. I made it just for you." Kira looked up at her mother, seeking permission. Zerathix nodded, her throat tight with emotion. Kira looked back at Jake, and then she smiled. "Thank you." The ice was broken. Jake stood up and gestured to the playground. "Would you like to play? I can push you on the swings if you want." Kira nodded eagerly and ran toward the swings, still clutching the butterfly. Jake followed, and Zerathix walked behind them, giving them space but staying close. She watched as Jake pushed Kira gently, the child laughing and asking to go higher. He told her about how humans had playgrounds on Earth, about how he used to swing as a child and imagine he was flying through space. Kira listened with rapt attention, asking questions between giggles. After the swings, they explored the rest of the playground together. Jake was patient and attentive, never overwhelming Kira with too much closeness too fast. He followed her lead, letting her warm up to him at her own pace. At one point, Kira noticed a pin on Jake's jacket. Her face brightened with recognition. "That is the engineering badge," she said. "Mum showed me pictures of you wearing it." Jake looked surprised, then touched the pin. "That is right. I wore this when I served in the human forces." Kira stared at him intently. "You really are him," she said softly. "You really are my dad." Jake's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, I really am." Kira reached out and touched the wetness on his cheek. "It is okay," she said. "Mom cries sometimes too. She says it is because she feels things very strongly." Jake laughed through his tears. "Your mom is right. Humans cry when we are happy or sad or just feeling too much all at once." "I cry too," Kira admitted. "More than other Valoran children. Mum says I got that from you." "You got a lot of good things from both of us," Jake said. They spent the next few hours together. Jake bought them all ice cream from a vendor, and Kira declared it the best thing she had ever tasted. They walked along the lake and Jake told stories about Earth, about oceans and mountains and animals that Kira had only seen in pictures. Zerathix watched them together and felt her heart break and heal at the same time. This was what she had denied them for 6 years. This easy connection, this natural bond between father and daughter. The guilt was crushing, but seeing them laugh together made it bearable. As the sun began to set, they walked back to where Zerathix and Kira were staying. Kira held Jake's hand now, chattering about everything she wanted to show him and tell him. She made him promise to come back the next day. At the door to their building, Kira suddenly hugged Jake tightly. "I am glad Mom found you," she said. Jake hugged her back carefully. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." After Kira went inside to get ready for bed, Jake and Zerathix stood in the hallway. The ease from the afternoon was gone, replaced by the complicated reality of their situation. She is incredible, Jake said. Even better than the stories you told me. She has been asking why you leave at the end of the day, Zarathix said quietly. Why we do not all live together like other family. Jake looked at her steadily. What did you tell her? That adults have complicated situations, but she is too smart to be satisfied with that answer for long. What do you want, Zara? Really, the question was harder than it should have been. Zarathix had spent so long focused on duty and career that she barely remembered how to think about what she personally wanted. I want Kira to be happy. I want her to know both her parents. That is what you want for Kira. What about what you want for yourself? Zarathix met his eyes. I want to stop running from the best thing that ever happened to me. I want to stop being haunted by what I gave up, but I do not know if that is even possible anymore. Jake was quiet for a moment. I got a message today. A job offer for a contract position on a station near Valoran Space. Long-term work, good pay. I was going to turn it down because it meant leaving New Haven, but now I am thinking maybe I should take it. If you are going back to duty in 2 months, and Kira goes with you, then maybe I should find work near where you will be. I could see her regularly. We could make this work. The offer was generous and terrifying. That would mean giving up your life here, your home, your business, everything you built. Jake smiled slightly. Humans are adaptable. We go where we need to be. And right now, I need to be wherever my daughter is. What about us? Zarathix asked. Where do we fit in this arrangement? I do not know yet, Jake admitted. 7 years is a long time. People change. But maybe we can figure it out together, one day at a time. For Kira's sake, if nothing else. It was not a declaration of love or a promise of romance, but it was a commitment to try, which was more than Zarathix had dared to hope for. I need to tell you something, she said. I requested a transfer to diplomatic work based out of New Haven. It will slow my career advancement significantly, but it means I can stay here. I can give Kira a stable home. Jake looked shocked. You would do that? Give up your career trajectory? I already gave up 7 years with you. I will not give up any more time with my daughter. With our daughter, she paused. And maybe, if you are willing, we could try to figure out the rest. Not rushing, just seeing where it leads. I would like that, Jake said softly. They made plans for the next day, and the day after that. Slowly, carefully, they began building something that looked like a family. It was not perfect, and it was not easy, but it was real. That night, as Zarathix tucked Kira into bed, the child held her mechanical butterfly clothes. I like him, Kira said sleepily. My dad, I am glad, Zarathix whispered. Are you going to be friends again, like you were before? I hope so, Kira yawned. Good, because we should all be together. That is what families do. Out of the mouths of children came the simplest truths. Zarathix kissed her daughter's forehead and turned off the light, hoping that somehow, against all odds, they could make that simple truth a reality. 3 weeks passed in a blur of new routines and old feelings rekindled. Jake came by every day, spending time with Kira and slowly rebuilding his connection with Zarathix. They went to museums and parks. They shared meals. They talked about everything and nothing, filling in 7 years of absence with stories and memories. Zarathix watched Jake teach Kira about human culture and Earth history. He showed her pictures of oceans and explained how water covered most of the planet. He taught her simple songs that human children sang. He introduced her to games like chess and explained the strategy behind each move. Kira absorbed everything like a sponge. She asked endless questions and remembered every answer. Her bond with Jake grew stronger each day, natural and easy in the way that human relationships seem to be. But the calendar kept moving forward. Zarathix's leave time was running out. Soon she would need to make a final decision about her transfer request, and Jake would need to decide about the job offer near Valoran Space. One evening, after Kira fell asleep, Jake and Zarathix sat in the small living room and faced the reality they had been avoiding. My transfer was approved, Zarathix said. I can stay on New Haven permanently, working with the diplomatic integration programs, but it means giving up my command position. I will never reach the higher ranks now. Jake looked at her seriously. Is that what you want? Or are you doing this just because you feel guilty? Both, she admitted. But mostly, I am doing it because I cannot leave again. I cannot miss any more of Kira's life, and I cannot imagine going back to the way things were before, living with that empty feeling. And what about us? Jake asked. You said we would figure things out, but we have been dancing around the real questions. Where do I fit in your life, Zara? Where do you fit in mine? Zarathix took a deep breath. I never stopped loving you. Even when I tried to convince myself it was better to forget, even when I threw myself into work to avoid thinking about what I gave up, you were always there, haunting every decision I made. I never stopped loving you either, Jake said quietly. I tried to move on. I told myself you were gone and it was over, but I could not make myself care about anyone else. It felt wrong, like I would be betraying something important. So what do we do? Jake reached out and took her hand. The gesture was simple but profound, a human expression of connection and commitment. We try. We build something together, the three of us, not the way it was before, but something new. We will make mistakes and it will be complicated, but we figure it out as we go. Humans make everything sound so simple, Zarathix said, but she was smiling. It is simple, Jake insisted. We love each other. We love our daughter. Everything else is just details we can work through. 2 days later, they told Kira that they were going to live together as a family. The child's joy was explosive and pure. She danced around the apartment, singing nonsense songs about having both her parents with her. The arrangements took time. Jake closed his workshop and moved his equipment to a new location they could all share. Zarathix found a larger apartment suitable for a family. They merged their lives slowly, learning to navigate the differences between human and Valoran needs. The dietary incompatibilities required separate meal preparations. Human food was too bland for Valoran tastes, while Valoran food was often toxic to human biology. They learned to cook side by side, creating meals that satisfied everyone. The different sleep cycles were harder to manage. Velo species needed less sleep but required complete darkness. Humans needed more rest but could sleep through noise and light. They compromised with separate sleeping areas and flexible schedules, but they also discovered unexpected harmonies. Jake's human tendency toward physical affection helped Zarathix become more comfortable expressing emotion openly. Her Valoran analytical approach helped Jake think through problems with more structure. Kira benefited from both perspectives, growing more confident and secure with both parents present. The story of their unusual family spread through New Haven, an alien commander who gave up her career for love, a human contractor who welcomed a child he never knew existed, a hybrid girl who represented the future of species cooperation. They became minor celebrities, though they tried to maintain privacy. One day, a human journalist named Claire requested an interview. Zarathix was reluctant, but Jake convinced her it might help other interspecies families feel less alone. They met at a quiet cafe, with Kira playing nearby, where she could see her parents but not hear the adult conversation. Claire asked the obvious questions first: how they met, why Zarathix left, what brought her back. Then she asked something more thoughtful. What would you say to others in similar situations? Aliens in relationships with humans, or considering them? Zarathix thought carefully before answering. Humans will change you. They will challenge everything you think you know about efficiency and emotion and priorities. They will frustrate you with their optimism and exhaust you with their energy. But they will also show you what it means to truly live, not just exist. She continued. They will teach you that vulnerability is not weakness, that hope is not foolish, that love is not something you fit into your schedule between duty assignments. It is the duty that matters most. Humans understand that connection is the point of existence, not a distraction from it. And what about the challenges? Claire asked. The cultural differences, the biological incompatibilities, the scrutiny from both communities. Jake answered this time. Every relationship has challenges. Every family has to work through differences. We are not special because we are interspecies. We are just like every other family, trying our best and hoping it is enough. But you gave up a lot, Claire pointed out to Zarathix. Your career advancement, your position, potentially your standing in Valoran society. Do you regret it? Zarathix looked over at where Kira was playing, then at Jake sitting beside her. I spent 7 years with professional success and personal emptiness. I told myself I was protecting my career, protecting Jake from complications, protecting Kira from scrutiny. But I was really protecting myself from vulnerability. She turned back to Claire. Humans understand something that many species do not. They know that the bravest thing is not facing enemy fleets or handling difficult negotiations. It is letting someone see you completely and trusting them not to destroy you. That kind of courage is harder than anything I faced in military service. The interview ended shortly after. Claire thanked them and left with her notes, promising to send them the article before publication. That evening, the three of them prepared dinner together. Jake chopped vegetables for the human portion, while Zarathix prepared the mineral supplements that Valones needed. Kira set the table, chattering about her day at the education center where she was learning alongside human and alien children. After dinner, they settled in the living room. Jake helped Kira with her homework while Zarathix reviewed briefing materials for her new diplomatic position. It was ordinary and domestic and perfect. Later, after Kira went to bed, Jake and Zarathix stood on the balcony looking out at the city lights. "Do you really not regret it?" Jake asked. "Giving up your command?" "No," Zarathix said honestly. I thought I would feel diminished or like I failed somehow. But instead, I feel more complete than I ever did climbing the ranks." Jake put his arm round her shoulders, and she leaned into him. Physical touch still felt new and slightly strange to her Valoran sensibilities, but she was learning to appreciate the comfort it brought. "I spent 7 years haunted by you," she said softly, "by memories of what we had and what I gave up. But now I am not haunted anymore. Now I have the reality, and it is better than any memory, even with all the complications." Jake teased gently. "Especially with the complications. They mean it is real. They mean we are building something that matters." Below them, New Haven glowed against the darkness. Ships launched from the spaceport, heading out to destinations across the galaxy. Somewhere up there, other species were living their lives, making their choices, following their own paths. But here, on this balcony, Zarathix had everything she needed. A partner who understood her, a daughter who brought joy to every day, and a future that looked nothing like what she planned but everything like what she needed. She came back searching for the human who haunted her heart. She found him, and in doing so, found herself. Together, they were building something neither of them could have created alone. A family that proved love did not require perfect compatibility, just commitment to understanding each other's differences. In the end, this was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Not their technology or their tactical abilities, but their unwavering belief that connection mattered more than convenience, that relationships were worth the complications, that the best adventures were the ones shared with those you loved. And as Zarathix stood there with Jake's arm around her, and their daughter sleeping safely inside, she understood why humans had become so valued among the stars. They taught others not just how to survive in space, but how to truly live there. The future was uncertain. Challenges would come, but they would face them together. All three of them, building something new and precious from the pieces of what was broken. That was enough. That was everything.